Does anyone else like spectator mode? Because praise be, we've got spectator mode in Dune Spice Wars. What a time to be alive. And today, for you, we've got a special treat. We have the tournament finals of the, I don't know what number this is, the Navigator run tournament out of Turin's Discord. This is a 16-player tournament. Whittles down to 4 players, and we are now in this 4-player finals. And we are doing a casted game today. I am not playing, I am spectating. We are watching. So, who do we got? Who do we got with us today? I'm new to the spectating thing, so let's give me some patience while we poke around in it. I've also got a noisy background here, so if things are noisy and making all kinds of a ruckus in the background, you just have to deal with it. It is what it is. We've got Ashaman on Harkonnen, Horus Ra on House Corrino, Vahutol on the Smugglers, and Lalgek won his game on the Smugglers as well, but lost the finals role and had to surrender the faction to Vahutol, and Lalgek opted for Vernius to make everyone suffer. So, we've got a quick start. Everybody's off, out and about. We've got the Baron Harkonnen here, took Kronvatya and Uman Kudu, very standard picks. Kron's always been the way to go because of the huge buffs that you get from the slave trade. And Uman Kudu got recently buffed a little bit, and I think he's just generally very good. Units taking 30% less time to recruit alone is a pretty amazing benefit, and I think that got increased over the last patch. In addition, a little extra armor, a little extra manpower. He's the fighty guy, right? If you're gonna be fighting people with House Harkonnens, you want Uman Kudu in your corner. Pretty standard. We got Princess Uryalan over on our friends. I forgot his name already. It's Horus Ra on Corrino. Princess Uryalan, of course, Uryalan got nerfed. Used to be she just lets you double build bases. Double build buildings anywhere in Corrino lands. Now the nerf is only lands that are adjacent to a Corrino Imperial base can get built. Can get two of the same buildings. The reason that matters so much is because, like, look at this current setup here. Not amazing. It's okay. He's got himself some rare resources, some minerals to work with, but if he wants to step out and grab this special region, the shield wall up here, which you would normally do without thinking twice about it, he'll never be able to build 2 craft workshops in the shield wall unless he drops another Imperial base adjacent to it. So that takes away a bit of your potential, and it slows down, I think, a little bit of your tempo, not being able to grab super valuable stuff that's maybe 2 steps away from your main base and then double building on it. But regardless, Corrino is still very strong, very good in a lot of ways. Despite the Uryalan nerf, people are still playing Uryalan, obviously. He's also Zoom-Garan here, which got also a bit of a buff. Zoom's seeing a lot more play these days as the end game experience here gets so crazy and messy. No one quite knows the meta anymore these days. It's a whole new world out there. Zoom-Garan sees a lot of play because he gives you this big power boost, 15% power per faction in truce. Now, 15% power is a very large buff. It is a significant shift in the strength of your military. And to be able to get to get it twice, you get it once from, if the Corrino needs to kill somebody and they're at peace with the other 2 somebodies, then they're 30% stronger for that kill. It makes them really, 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 really tough. They're really this, with Zoom-Garan, you're really this Kingslayer. You kind of want to play Corrino from a little bit behind. You let someone else get out in the lead, you make peace with your neighbors, and you go and you just destroy that last person with your super, super powered up armies, thanks to Zoom-Garan. The recent patch also reduced the cost on proposing Imperial Mandate, so you can hand out those Sardaukar to your allies as well with no downsides. We've got sort of a slower Actually, it's pretty nice. I was going to say we got sort of a slower expansion here. I'll get down on the House Vernius, but he's got a fantastic map spawn already adjacent to 3 different spice fields. I think that's pretty fantastic. Doesn't have to worry about capping them at all. He can just worry about getting the money and sending out some harvesters. He's got a 4th spice field over here that is also blocked off by the Desolation. Oh, it's a beautiful spawn for Vernius. He can extend the purple line straight across, and he wants to. Easy Moon Dew Vale here with a nice research station spawn on it, and then straight up to Pelmara for the rare minerals. And he can leave this one unclaimed and get the spice from it. He can leave this one unclaimed, get the spice from it. Likewise down here, doesn't need to claim that or that. He can send the straight line, his purple line, straight up to Mount Idaho here. Looking really good. Although Mount Idaho is equidistant to Corrino, so there may be some contention there. It's a pretty close spawn between Vernius to Corrino bases. Only 3 regions between them, but that is still a nice Vernius spawn. I would be real happy to have that one. Were I them. The only downside is it doesn't look like he'll have a way to get up. He's gonna have a hard time going north towards the middle here with this purple line at least. He could go through the deep desert. He could send it into deep desert and then up to this cliff, this energy sources up here, and that would get him close to the middle and maybe even access to this. A lot of spice down south. Who we got over here? The Smugglers was Vahutol, an old tournament champion, extremely capable player. Vahutol, we didn't talk counselors, so Vernius is playing Bronzo, which is lowered authority, so for fast expansion. And then, an extra airfield that doesn't matter much, but the minus 20% authority to annex is a huge benefit. It allows really, really, really fast movement in Vernius expansion. It's super cool. I like Bronzo a lot. Tessia lost a lot of power with a nerf to House Vernius's ability to assassinate people. All factions. So nothing too exciting. Statecraft development's going to get cheap. So people might be moving into blue tech, but blue tech is typically not stuff you want early on. We'll see what people do around that. But we've got Tessia Vernius over here. Tessia lost a lot of strength. She used to be the premier assassination enabling counselor, but Vernius can't really assassinate very easily anymore. And the reason for that is I think we could even dive into their tech tree here. They reworked physical wiring. It now gives some nice knowledge and economic bonuses, but no longer does it give you free infiltration cells. So you max out at 2 infiltration cells for Vernius. That makes it much more difficult to, finish off that assassination. If someone is defending an assassination, finding 2 cells is not too hard to do. So I don't see a lot of Vernius assassin work these days. You do still see Vernius setting up cells because it's a nice benefit. +2 knowledge per any infiltration cells neighboring a neural node. That's nothing to sneeze at. But Tessia used to enable the assassinations. She still does give, if you stop researching knowledge, she gives you a huge amount of intel. I think she's still important because of the information levels required for spying missions to be reduced by 1. Normally, if you are doing espionage, you almost can't do anything because Vernius is a very slow agent growth, and it's really hard to get your levels up, and you need the information levels up in order to qualify for using the better missions. So Tessia allows you to do that without having to worry too much about agent growth. Let's keep looking around. What do we think of the Corrino spawn? Yeah, I think that's fine, and he's not really indicating anything else that he's worried about yet. If we look at Corrino tech, he's going into the blue stuff. He went for a quick Imperial Administration, which is pretty standard, and he is pieced with Vernius, so he's getting the Vernius tech. Let's take a look at our smuggler friends. Smugglers have gone into quick organized looting. That's very standard. That increases the amount that they pillage from stuff. Also at peace with Vernius, so getting some of that wonderful Vernius tech. And let's see. standard stuff from, well, maybe a little non-standard, from our Harkonnen friends, who is played by Ashaman. I put huge value on fast Arrakis butchers, and it looks like they're picking it up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th, like 6th, which is a bit further than I would normally do. I really like the early manpower upon killing. I really like the early water and damage to rebels and things. But everyone, I think, is a little thrown off because with that Landsrad making the blue tech cheaper, everyone's trying to get a bit of blue tech. I can see he is also at peace with Vernius, so Vernius is handing out lots of tech. Let's check diplomacy. Right off the bat, looked like they made peace and they gave a harmless gadget to the smugglers. They made peace with Corrino. They made peace, yeah. So it's peace with everyone. Vernius handing out the free technology. Now the reason they do that, and it's a little tricky these days, but the reason they do that is for the Landsrad. Now, we believe that there's a bug where typically you used to get a lion's share of your plus Landsrad standing from non-aggression pacts with people. Every non-aggression pact you had increases the standing that you got, but that is not working right now. You can see Harkonnens are getting +0 next council when they are non-aggression pact with Vernius. But Vernius has a special tech that, we could probably look at it, technological exchange, gain +5 Landsrad standing on council opening per active truce. So that's on top of what you would normally get. So it's still a way for Vernius to get some Landsrad standing, and Vernius needs it real bad because they spend Landsrad standing in order to build neural nodes, and they also spend it in order to get their agents up. If they want to get analytical machines, each analytical machine costs an amount of Landsrad standing to add. And analytical machines are great. You kind of want a ton of them. It used to be, I would even recommend playing Vernius that you go deep and you just buy a ton of analytical machines early in the game to fill out and get all kinds of benefits. But going into pits of Landsrad standing is tough to climb out of these days. But regardless, I'm not surprised to see him making peace with everyone. What's our territory look like with the Harkonnens? They're expanding fairly aggressively, and the territory looks good. They've got a pretty close spice field that was stolen. I guess it's equidistant, taken by Vahutol over on the Smugglers. This is what, Ashaman from the name of the male wizards from the Wheel of Time, the Ashaman. Could be that, could be something different. But that's what I always remember. He's got 1 spice, 2 spice secured, 3 spice working on right now, and the vaunted worm nest. 4 spice plus 25% more. That's looking like a good money game for Harkonnens. I've seen a lot of Chome wins in this new patch. I think Chome is pretty valuable these days. Nobody's buying fast. We are in month 2, so the market is open. Nobody's buying too much. I guess Harkonnens are just starting to buy now. I've seen a lot of Chome wins lately because with the nerf to the research center, has anyone even built one? Some people are picking them up super quick still. Yep, here it is. The nerf to the research center. It still gives you great things, but it gives you plus daily hegemony gain. Not that, what's the word I'm looking for? Retroactive, not the retroactive hedge game. Back in the day, a week ago, if you built the research center, it counted up all of the hegemony you had from your territories and then gave you a plus percentage bonus to that immediately. So in the end game, you'd build your research center, you'd get 2,000 plus hegemony, and you would boost, boom, straight to a victory when people weren't expecting you, because you would time that with grabbing territory and all kinds of things. No longer. The boom is significantly reduced, making hegemony a tough one. Is there anything important here? Territory contest is actually a really interesting one. We were just talking about how hard it is to get hegemony now, so getting a little extra anywhere you can is very useful. We'll see what people think of this. We do have the long Landsrad timers, so people can chat about this as much as they want. And we can see in our text here, there's been a lot of trading popping back and forth between Corrino and the Smugglers and various other people. What do we see? Okay, so that does pop off. Who's going to be a winner of that? So this pays out 500 hegemony per controlled special region. Everybody gets a little extra Landsrad to work with. I think Vernius probably likes that most of all. It's good for everybody but the smugglers who don't yet have their Landsrad standing unlocked. Cheaper building construction slots are interesting too. But they don't have, Vernius didn't take, usually you really, really love it. It's Bowlig, I think, is their counselor. Lets you build out multiple slots in your main base at once. But I would expect to see everyone taking advantage of cheaper building and getting up more stuff in their main bases. Who's got the specials already that will benefit from that other one? We've got one special for Vernius. We've got one special for the smugglers. One special for the Harkonnens. Good for everybody but Corrino, who has not yet snagged a special. Okay, so a little bit of boost. So anyways, we see a lot more knockdown, drag-out fights in the end game because you can't get that huge boost to victory. You get to danger zone. It used to be you'd get to a danger zone and you would try to get that boost. But there's not a lot of boost, so people see you getting in the danger zone of hegemony, and there's usually, in my experience these days, a lot of time for people to react, right? Which means if you're slowly climbing your way up towards hegemony, you can expect a protracted 3v1 war near the end of the game. Now, why that's interesting is because it's back to making the Chome market a lot more interesting. And nobody's really buying up. Very few shares purchased so far, despite some really positive spawns. I don't think I can see what the rate is of people buying or selling. I can't see. Oh, there it is. Spice. Yeah, okay. So it's a 0.19 right now, which is not ideal. People are stocking up for the most part. No, we could see actually. Oh, you can even see. Perfect. We can see the smugglers stocking. We could see Vernius selling. Vernius, like I said, off to a quick start on the spice, making 186 right now, more than any other two players put together. Oh, marvelous. They're going to be having big money. Vernius, of course, still very hungry for money, so I am not surprised. Looking good. They're doing their usual thing. Vernius also does a lot of pillaging. Anytime you can identify villages that you don't need right now, you want to pillage them for the money. We've got the smugglers over here doing some interesting stuff. Who are they playing? Smugglers, Vahutol has Stabentuik paying out for Underworld headquarters, and Stakhanov, who is seeing a resurgence in interest. So Stakhanov is the really unique counselor that says if you've got a region that does not have any smuggler regions adjacent to it, so like this stolen spice field up here, not adjacent to any smuggler regions, this one, here it is, sieges of it take 100% longer, so it's way tougher for people to liberate or pillage or annex away from you. It also just gets a flat plus 20% resource production, so it just makes more stuff for you. And anytime you lose a village in any way, you get a 50% authority refund. So it offers some really great benefits. So oftentimes you see Stakhanov play on very few regions, just grabbing important ones that are farther away from themselves. And then you often see them playing a lot of specials because they can put up their craft workshops. Now, I think Vahutol on the smugglers here is in a bit of a pickle because he's really got access to 2 specials only. We've got Observatory Mountain over here, which is fine. Space Rack in the back, which is great. Everyone likes a Space Rack. But beyond that, oh, I guess he could get Imperial Basin. That's 3 for him. That's something to work with. If we look at Vernius, he's got easy access to 1, maybe, 2 and 3 are kind of contested between Vernius and Corrino. That's interesting. Could be tricky, could be tough. Harkonnens are way far away from home. They are just wandering around pillaging the map, just Harkonnen things. Corrino, I'm starting to like their spot less and less. Horus Ra here. He's got 1 spice in the deep back, which he has not even taken yet. In fact, Vernius could send a guy back there to start harvesting it right now. He won't keep it forever. I think this is much more a Corrino spice when he gets there. But beyond that, he would have to go way north and maybe try to contest the worm nest, and that would not be good for him either, just because of the spawn. You could see the layout of the region with the worm nest has the village fort very far to the northeast, very close to the Harkonnens. That sort of thing makes it really difficult for like the Corrino player here to hold this territory, because the Harkonnens could just attack in on it at any second if they were outside of it. There's very little warning that you have. The placement of villages can matter a whole lot, especially when you get towards, marching armies around and how much supplies things take and how quickly people can react to things. Village placement is totally random and a huge, huge deal. Let's take a look at things. Let's take a look at the faction summary. Smugglers have a tiny bit of hegemony income. That means they've gotten underworld headquarters set up, which you would expect. Like I said, the Stakhanov play utilizes relatively small amounts of land, then pillages everything in between, and then with the authority that they're not using, they use that authority to set up underworld headquarters elsewhere. Vernius looking good. They are thriving. We can look at people's armories. I don't think that's that important. Maybe we'll check them out late game, see if there's anything interesting. If we look at the tech again, Harkonnen tech's going about what you'd expect. Straight up to martial economy, straight up to instill fear, straight up to Arrakis butchers. Those are your keystone, your critical ones. They used the blue bonus to climb up to spying mastery, which is a great choice for the Harkonnens. Harkonnens are a very mission-heavy faction. They like to have a lot of options for missions, and spying mastery helps out with that. Or rather, the enhanced questioning on the way up helps out with that. Oppressed villages granting intel production is huge. The interrogations center is a very good building if you chose to get it. And just the +5 agents helps a lot. What's going on with our Landsrat here? Polar Sink could be in play with the water subsidies. Extra money for everybody. Who is well suited for Polar Sink? I would think Smugglers would love Polar Sink. It's not gonna be Stakhanov'd because it would be adjacent to this very forward spice field that he's grabbed. Oftentimes, and I assume that passed. We could double check. Yes, it did. That did not pass, and everybody gets a little bit of money. Oftentimes, when you see this water subsidies get passed, because the Polar Sink now costs no authority to capture, everyone kind of beelines for it to try and take it. Now, again, talking about the importance... Oh, look, the Polar Sink's actually devastated. Nobody can take it. You'll be able to in 11 days, and that'll still give you 9 more days to take it for free afterwards. But again, emphasizing the importance of village placement that I was talking about. Because this is a very southwestern placed village on the Sink, it makes it drastically more likely that for Corrino to lay claim to this, or even for maybe Vernius. You don't want to have to, if the Harkonnens have it, and you don't want to have to take a long walk to get to it to defend it, or you don't want the enemy to be able to pop in on it super quickly. So you can still do it, but it's not a favorable defensive position by a long shot. How are we looking on resources? Pretty standard. I think the Harkonnens are a tad light on the Plascrete. That might be because there's just rebellions going on. You can never tell for sure. Yeah, if I were him, I would try to get this Plascrete oppressed as much as possible, if he's not already. Harkonnens are hungry for all resources. Looks like he's prioritizing grabbing his spices. 1 spice, 2 spice, 3 spice, 4 spice now online. He hasn't quite gotten them spun up yet, and other people are making a lot. Good golly, the Smugglers are pulling in 243. Oh, and he's doing so via Underworld Headquarters and the Harvesters Union. Harvesters Union is interesting. Let's take a look at that. So this is the... Am I crazy? Maybe I am crazy. I thought it was this, Underworld Contacts. Underworld Headquarters produce 20% of their village's spice production. What the hell is Harvesters Union? I don't know. But regardless, that is a really surprisingly high amount of spice for... I guess he's on 4 spice too. 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I crazy, or is there just a lot of spice on this map? Or rather, everyone took spice away from Corrino. Corrino sitting on 1 spice. They dropped a very conservative backwards base, so their second Imperial base is down. We see that being used to secure spice number 2, being used to double up the bonus. So you could see one of the Urulon bonuses here is you can have 2 more crew and harvesters. Because this spice field is now adjacent to 2 Imperial bases, it can have 4 more crew and harvesters. So it is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 8 right now. That'll be a little bit helpful. A little bit helpful. Vernius is currently mining this spice, but it looks like Horus on Corrino is just waiting probably for a little bit of authority to finish off annexing it. That's funny. But a very conservative drop back here. I think Corrino's on the back foot because they just have not gotten quite the benefit of land as most people have. They're going to be low on special regions. They don't have any specials yet. They got a Well of Riches, which is one of the best, but they haven't gotten it yet. Shield wall up here could go either way still. Could be Vernius. I think it's Corrino favored, but Vernius could try to claim it. Again, this village being so far north is kind of weird and hard for Vernius to justify getting, but they don't have another way to get into the middle unless they go through the deep desert, which they could do. We'll see. We've got pillaging smugglers. Okay, so smugglers have timed it. The desolation falls off from the last time someone pillaged this. Smugglers timed it properly, got here at the exact moment, and are able to take this, and they'll be able to annex this for 0 authority thanks to the water subsidies. Very solid heads-up play by a Vahutol on our smugglers. Really, he's making more than Vernius now. The spice is rolling in. Are we seeing this translate to Chom? Not yet. Very, very few, very few purchases of Chom shares right now. And despite, I think people's rates must be pretty good, or enough people are selling large amounts that it's driving the prices up. Okay, it's starting to go down now. We see the share price is about 100 for 1 share. So we know that to buy 20 shares, it would be about 2,000, and it's dropping rapidly now. So the share price of the Chom market is heavily dependent on, 1, how much people are buying, and 2, it's hugely dependent on how much people are selling. If you've pulled your slider all the way down and you're making a lot and you're selling it, selling more spice makes the Chom market, the Chom shares, more expensive. Stockpiling more spice, pushing your slider all the way to the top, increasing your stocks and not selling it, drives the Chom price down. The Chom is the company that distributes or manages spice in the galaxy. So the idea is the more spice being sold, the more the company is doing business and their stock price goes up. And the more that people are stockpiling spice and not selling it, the less business is being done, so the less value of the Chom company. So that's a really interesting thing to sort of keep in mind around the Chom market. When you're making the most money by selling the most, selling is making shares more expensive too. So there's sometimes an interesting little game where you can stockpile a lot to drive the money down, but if you have enough actual, liquid cash, liquid Solari, you can buy up those cheaper shares. But in order to really make a lot of Solari, you need to be selling it, which makes those shares more expensive. It's an interesting little push-pull, little market simulation there. We got another lands rad. We are rounding out month 3 here. We can see a lot of standing on House Corrino, up to 320. It's really difficult to do any sort of political play with the lands red standing gains being so low. I have not seen anyone get anywhere near a governor lately. But of note, also, the I know there's another way to look at it. The higher you're standing, if you get up to the high level of 300 plus, or if you somehow get to very high, 400 plus, those make chome shares cheaper. And I think chome's really important these days. And we suspect it's a bug, but if the bug gets fixed, political play will come back online more. It's so hard for people to get standing. Look, I mean, currently Corrino's getting 5 per council. A council is every 20 days. Smugglers are getting 8 per council, and Vernius is getting 10 per council. It's like, that's not much. If you want to get up to very high, it's going to take Vernius. Vernius is sitting at 177. They need, what, 23 more Landsrad councils, as long as they don't spend any. And Vernius struggles a bit with this because they have to spend a lot on stuff. We're seeing some aggro over here. They are taking land from Corrino. Corrino's trying to respond or thinking about it. Vernius is thinking. They are talking back and forth. People are thinking about the Landsrad still. They haven't committed. I don't see any other conflict at the moment. Trade agreement between the Harkonnens and Vernius. Trade agreement between the Harkonnens and Corrino. Oh, the Harkonnens should be feasting. They're third in line with spice, which is unusual given that they've got 4 spice fields. I think he's just behind. He's a little behind in tempo, and he doesn't quite have the oppression for everything going. They ought to be going nuts. There's a lot of talk going back and forth still, but we are waiting on Vernius to pick what they're doing, and they ought to finish. Okay, we got bad spice on Vernius. Interesting. From Corrino and Harkonnens a little bit. No guards would have been good for Corrino, and yes, authority. Corrino saying opting not to fight the Vernius army and rather go punish Vernius by pillaging their lands. Vernius leaving a suboid behind. A boyd, one of the boyds. Leaving one of the boyds behind to come chase off Corrino. I think Vernius has the better army here. He's invested in some drones. He's got his hero out here. It looks like Corrino's trading okay, but I would not expect them to win this. Yeah, Vernius is starting to pull ahead now. They're gonna collapse real soon here. They're struggling to deal with the healing provided by Nua, and so could the fight engineer too. As long as they stay within the purple circle, we've got more and more conscripts coming out, leaning into a conscript-heavy army, but they're trading okay, actually. They're doing all right. Corrino, they're so low on so many of these conscripts. Yep, there it is. Now some of the focus fires coming out. They might get Nua, which would be a big win for them. I think they are going to get her. You know why that hurts so much? Because to replace your hero costs, I think it's 30 Landsrad standing. It might be 50. I think it's 30. But losing a hero when you're already in the pits, Vernius is at 187. They're going to have to drop down to 157 if they want to get Nua back. And it's already such, we've talked about it, it's such a struggle to get Landsrad standing now. Rebuilding your hero just sucks. Is this actually being sieged down? I don't know if is he trying to annex it or something? I can't see the flag above it, so maybe he's just standing in it. We are seeing Vernius has fully routed and beaten the Corrino army, and now they are attacking Corrino land in general. Logek on House of Vernius comes from a very aggressive playstyle, a very experienced player who's been in the community for a long time. But likewise with Horus on Corrino, I think Horus is just way behind in tempo. Logek had just a great run of terrain to set up here and has had a lot of resources to work with. I think the Corrino resources have been fewer and further between. Okay, so this was getting annexed. We just couldn't see the flag on it for whatever reason. Vernius has stolen spice number 5 from Corrino, knocking them down to spice number 1. It is dark times for Corrino. This is also getting hit here. I can't see what they're doing to it, but I gotta imagine it's getting liberated, maybe even annexed. It's not really worth annexing, but I wouldn't mind if it was liberated. What else have we got? I think if we look at diplomacy, it's been pretty peaceful. Are the Harkonnens popping off yet? Not quite. Not quite. What's our Chome market look like? Not much. I'm sort of surprised. People are making so much money this game and nobody's investing it in the Chome. Strangely enough. I guess nobody's particularly rich. Harkonnens are sitting on 2.5k plus 300. Maybe the rates have just been bad because there's some pretty decent stockpiles built up for folks. Rate right now is 1.6. Basic exchange rate. Okay, so it's 1.6 right now. It's going to go up to 2 in 9 days. We might see some more work there. But Corrino in a really bad spot. They are getting bullied by the newly ascendant Vernius. Vernius, of course, got big buffs this patch. Got a lot more to work with. Big buffs in the military, big buffs, but just by EMP being less effective against them. Vernius is very, very strong. So it was a liberate here, which is no good. That was a lot of research hubs for Corrino. So that's going to hurt his tech a bit. He is marching west, but I don't know what he could do. This Vernius drone army should be more than enough to keep Corrino boxed in for now. Yeah, he's going to be hurting. Corrino making he's doing decent actually. 119 spice is not bad, and that is on the back of this 5 crew harvester. And I think he even had more, but he probably lost. Yeah, so he was not investing in the extra harvester crew. He was counting on getting that from Vernius before, but now he's no longer a friend with Vernius. Smugglers just pillaging stuff, grabbing more territory than I would have expected actually for Stakhanov play, but still doing just fine. They are making by far the most spice. 375 spice a day is a vast income. They're pulling in 54 extra from headquarters, 66 extra from the Harvesters Union. What the hell is the Harvesters Union? Is it the Harvesters Works? Is that the Harvester Union buff? Maybe. I don't recognize the name of that income, that buff. Regardless, it's fine. Harkonnen's up here just doing pillaging. They've got pretty decent land to work with. If we look at resources, Vernius is actually going broke. But it's just because they did get they got the minus what was the resolution? They got the controlled markets on them for a -1 exchange rate. So they've probably been, their money has been tanking as they've been stockpiling. That'll be fine. That'll go away right about the same time that the rate goes back up. We can see the spice rate will go back up in 1 day. And in 1 day the council will open, so I would expect him to just open the faucet and sell all that spice and be all good. Vernius, don't worry about them, they'll be just fine. He is leaning into aggression. Corrino took this territory out here. This was an interesting take. I'm not sure why he took it. Missile battery, probably as a springboard to be a defensive or an aggressive defensive kind of thing. Now, aggressive both he could stage his army here to take back this spice, and defensive in that he can use this terrain right here to build extra missile turrets to hold it after he's got it. New Landsrad up. Corrino making labor rights to a specific faction instead of everybody because he can't afford to pay anything on it, I suppose. Can we see Corrino money? Yeah, Corrino money's low. 130, he's making 130. He's on a very balanced trade. His stocks are okay. Unfortunately, so the contract that you have to pay out, excuse me, the contract of how much you need to pay out is based upon how much you made last month. And last month he had another spice field making spice for him. And this month that got taken from him, so he still has to pay out a pretty big contract and has not been able to stockpile very much from it. Okay, they're still thinking in the Landsrad. Let's check the faction summary. Oh, Smugglers leaning heavy into the craft workshops. So Vahutol here went deep down the green trees. He is leaning hegemony. We can also, if we take a quick peep, it's been relatively peaceful militarily. Corrino's been forced to pick up military tech. Vernius, of course, grabbed it early. Vernius gets all the tech. That's how Vernius works. But the benefit of that is people might be relying on Vernius for that early military tech. And then if you rely on it, it could be taken away. And we can see he's got good patents out on that. He's got good patents over on the critical economic tech. Good patents over on valuable trinkets. Yeah, so the Vernius tech's been going great. What's the Vernius knowledge at? Does it tell me? He's sitting at 50, which is pretty solid. Pretty solid knowledge. Vernius, I feel, is a really strong faction. The only thing he doesn't have going for him is his Landsrad standing is very precarious. He did rebuild his hero. Nuwa's back on the field, and it looks like he is leaning heavily into bullying and beating up Corrino. Corrino is in a rough spot. He needs to be crying for help. The trouble is, nobody's gonna help. Smugglers have everything they want. They've gotten really good land. They're gone straight into craft workshops. So Smugglers have the lead in hedge, and they are cooking a huge amount, plus 50 a day. Smugglers full speed ahead on the hedge. Harkonnens aren't buying up anything yet. What are the Harkonnens doing up here? We need to see some sounder economics. I suspect he just probably got really pretty lousy traits on these spice fields. Yep, no real economic benefits to speak of on any of these spice fields. That's a damn shame for him. You really like to see plus percentage boosts on your Harkonnen spice fields, because your plus percentage on your spice gives you even more, and then that gets doubled even more when you're oppressing it. So percentage boosts are really great. He doesn't have any of those. Despite having 4 spice fields and the worm nest, the Harkonnens are pulling in a lot nest. Vahutol is playing great. He's making a vast income of resources on the Smugglers over here. I don't think there's any way we could see where he's got his underworld headquarters set up. But if we look at armies, that's an interesting armies view. We can see, oh boy, we got battle here. Vernius is right up against the border. This is an excellent army comp, though. We've got artillery drones, heavy conscript riflemen. These are very strong defensive choices because you can pull the Vernius troops back. It looks like he's trading pretty well, actually. Vernius has got a run here. I think he's getting a lot of kills, at least. These fighting mechs went out to engage the artillery drones, but them being close to the base was able to defend them. And now he's able to push them back with a very strong ranged contingent. But another one of the great benefits Vernius got in this last patch was automated defenses got a huge boost. So this covers up the border defense that other people have for extra missile batteries. And that was always a bad thing, because that means you didn't get extra missile batteries. But the patch made it so that your neural nodes, the purple line that you build for Vernius, now is itself a turret. And it's a pretty badass one, too. I don't think it tells... Oh, it does. Looks like it spits out just about the same power as a regular turret. 80 attack range, 40 power. Neural node is 80 attack range, 40 power. Okay, yeah, so a neural node, it's almost identical to a regular turret now. And because you build a neural node everywhere, just like you have a turret everywhere. So it's really difficult to push into Vernius lands. It's going to be super tough to dislodge him from this. Poor Horus on Corrino. What are his options here? One of the best things Corrino has going for them is that hammers, their flying units, are so good. But the downside is that Vernius flyers are also so good. The spirits and the hammers are anti-ground only, and spirits could attack ground or air. So the spirits are sort of a direct counter to the hammers. The hammers will tear up these drones quite well, though. So that is an option. I suspect, though, the lack of resources, he may not even have a spacing guild up yet. I don't see one. So yeah, we're not going to see hammers anytime soon. He looks like he is leaning into conscripts, which is a decent choice. I think conscripts fight pretty well against Vernius. But sad times for Corrino continue. Vernius, Logek on the Vernius, leaning into his own craft shops now. He's getting plus 25 a day. Horse didn't hear no bell, though. He's pushing forward. He is fortifying this front line. Double missile turret built, thanks to being adjacent to the base. He's going to use this double missile turret. Oh, he's using it as a siege base. So he's gotten the extended range on his artillery drones. He has parked them at max distance, and he is sieging down the turrets that were going to make this spice field so difficult for him to take. Really good play. You love to see it. Nicely done. Well done by Horus, and I think that may have convinced Logek on House Vernius to back up. But we do see the spirits coming out like I had prophesized, though. Vernius spirits so good. They're slow attacking, but they hit reasonably hard. They're quite tanky. They have this insane benefit of inside friendly territory, basically. They're invisible, and they take 40% less damage. That makes them so good on defense. I do think he's going to struggle here, though. This is strategically a very good position for Corrino to be in. Harkonnens are just pillaging. Smugglers are just pillaging. All of our excitement is over here. But, alright, Corrino's going in. Despite, I think, being militarily on the back foot still, he's got a good strategic position here with his own missile turrets able to help. He's got the enemy missile turrets offline. There's kind of a choke point that Vernius needs to walk through to get here. And I will say artillery drones are excellent counters to spirits, actually. Spirits so good, but nobody likes getting shot at with artillery drones, and artillery drones can hit air, no problem, and they hit it real hard. Real hard. We got a battle. They're going straight in. Corrino is blasting away. His drones are out of range. He's got to get those repositioned a little closer so they can fire. It's not quite the range that he wants. They haven't been able to help too much. He's trading okay. We've seen EMP go down. All right. That's got to be from our friends Corrino. Yep, okay. They've EMP'd. The Vernius has got to cede the territory. They almost ran out of water on Corrino. They were going to be in trouble real soon, but the Vernius wasn't able to hold the line there. That was just a really good position. It's so tough to fight into multiple missile turrets blasting away on you. Corrino was able to clear those out with his tanks there. He's going to be able to... Horus Ra on Corrino will lock down Spice Field number 2. Meanwhile, smugglers have their Wraith online, and they are marching around, just pillaging the map like crazy. We got a Landsrad, but I don't even want to look at that right now. I want to see, did anyone buy any Chome yet? Very slowly, we've got 10% on House Harkonnen. We've got a nice bank. Look at this. Smugglers are making 1.3k a day. Not spending it on Chome, interestingly. They're at 1%, just banking it. He's making 558. Oh my goodness, those Underworld headquarters are paying unbelievable dividends. And what the hell is Harvesters Union paying out 142? Oh my goodness. This man is making so much spice, like you can't even believe. I mean, he's making 5 times as much as Corrino is on 1 spice. We are on 1, 2... we're still in 4 spice for smugglers, so I would expect them to be doing quite well. 380 would be a huge amount. Harkonnens have finally gotten online with their oppression and things, but boy, it really pales in comparison to how much the smugglers are able to pull out of their spice fields right now. Vernius on the back foot, losing their army there, of course. Still the downside of Vernius armies are that, one, they take a long time to build unless you've got your fusion plant up, which he does, makes them 50% cheaper, or 50% faster. And they're expensive. There's no two ways around that. Vernius troops cost a lot of money to make. It's like 400, I think, to make a fighting mech. Rather than other people converting money into manpower and then using the manpower, Vernius just buys them straight with money, and it's not a favorable trade for them. They pay more for their troops than anyone else does. Their drones. Gear eggs maybe on everyone. All factions get cheaper building. Assassins. I gotta think infrastructure control was probably really good for our friends in Corrino. I guess the smugglers don't have a whole lot of plascrete to go around. And then that's, well, they're very built out. Most of their regions are maxed out. Harkonnens would like to probably build more buildings. I think Vernius would like to build more buildings too. So they would love the infrastructure controls. Gear eggs is no big deal since it's going to affect everyone equally. It hardly matters. All factions gain assassins. I don't think that's going to matter. We could do a quick look through the espionage, see if anyone has any any levels up on other people. Nothing for Vernius, nothing for the smugglers, nothing for Corrino, nothing for the Harkonnens. Everyone's got counterintelligence up, but nobody is putting any cells up on anyone. So they're all being very wary of any assassinations, but there's absolutely nothing in play, assassin-wise. So that doesn't look like it's gonna be anything. We are on month 5, so we're getting a little spicy, but I think it's moving fairly slowly. The smugglers are likely to mostly want to sit. They do have another special down here they could grab easily, but they're leaving it ungrabbed, probably as some sort of later game boom, hedge boom kind of plan. I said the hedge boom was gone. It's not gone. It's just reduced. I suppose he's probably thinking that though he is making 53 a day, twice as much as anyone else is, that's probably plenty of passive hedge, and he doesn't need to be grabbing more and putting a bigger target on his back. We got a bunch of Suboids coming up. I think that means that Vernius has got some money. I was gonna say I think that means that Vernius is broke, but no, he's just swapping into some Suboid armies here. This is definitely Corrino land. I don't think that Vernius should don't get too locked in a blood feud here, and this should be pretty defensively locked down. Corrino keeping a very close eye on Vernius. Gonna make his life miserable here. These siege drones at long range are really gonna cause problems. I don't think it's, unless he's just doing a quick pillage, maybe. Yeah, maybe he's trying to. Corrino's in a very good position, largely thanks to his siege drones, largely thanks to the presence of those missile turrets, sort of lock down this western edge for him. The Harkonnens are pretty aggressively expanding down towards Corrino. Corrino's been so busy down here. Oh, he didn't even annex that, he just liberated it. Maybe he's really short on the authority. Interesting. Sort of surprised there. It is what it is, though. Very strange. Harkonnen saying, well, if you're not going to take it, we'll take it. I would have expected them probably to stop expansion, maybe around the worm nest, to just be happy, but hey, it's free real estate. So they've grabbed the energy sources, they've gone and they've grabbed the well of riches, just taking everything they can out of poor Corrino, who has been set back here, fighting for his life. Corrino, not even at 10k yet, hasn't unlocked his hero. Sitting on a lot of lands, rad, but I don't think that's going to do him any favors. We've got 200 votes on Vernius, so Vernius has opted for the triple blue. Makes sense to me. Not a lot of investment in the yellow districts, but I think he'll be fine, given that he is also making 300 spice a day. The spice fields were so beneficial for him, he doesn't need to lean into it at all. Oh lord, boy, there's a lot of spice being made by those smugglers, though. They are smuggling spice like crazy. Rate's pretty good, and it's gonna get better. It's good now. It just switched over to 1 to 2, which is actually average, so not that good. But it's going to move to 2.4, which is almost the best it could be. 2.5 is the highest it could fluctuate to. So next month will be the spice selling month. But people are sitting on some money. We got 3K, 3K, 13K, almost 6K. Is anyone buying Chom? A little bit for House Harkonnen. Smugglers are starting to buy a little bit, but not too much. Shares right now at 153. I guess shares would be about 3,000, which seems high to me, given that no one's bought a lot. But it's got to be on people just making so much spice. This is a very spicy lobby. People are pulling a lot out of the map here. Corrino moving around, trying to figure out what his plan is. I think, boy, I think he is real effed. I think he's in a horrible, horrible spot. He really wanted the Well of Riches eventually. He really wants this shield wall eventually. Hasn't been able to take it. Does it show me authority? Yeah, authority is pretty light on Corrino, and I don't know necessarily why it is. I guess because he's been grabbing up just some of the empty, non-exciting territory around him. What else can we see here? Good authority on Vernius. He sort of stopped expanding a while ago. He was pretty happy with what he got. What do we see Vernius doing now? It looks like he's marching around. Grabbing the spice. Oh, okay. So he grabs the spice field here instead of the resources because it's got a siege that I assume he wants to ally with. Minus 30% recruitment time is a great siege to have. It's really powerful militarily. Training guys, in only 2/3 the time can be a big winner. You don't generally like to be in that sort of attrition kind of warfare as Vernius, again, given that your units are so expensive to make in general. But if you find yourself there, you certainly would like to do something with it. I feel like Vernius is maybe a little stifled now. He did manage to grab Mount Idaho, but that's only got him on 2 specials, right? Yeah. So he's most he can make is 25 a day, which is not a lot. He does have a lot of good territory to back cap if he felt the need for that, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Not for a long time. That's a very end game kind of thing, doing your back caps. But I think Smugglers are in the pole position here. Grab a drink. Lots to talk about. We got lots to say. Smugglers they've managed to grab their back special there. They're leaving that one alone. They've been very steadily doing their march around. No additional diplomacy has really happened in the meantime. Harkonnen's sitting on a bunch of operations for combat, just in case that day ever comes. Smugglers are sitting on a defense breaches, which is very interesting. I don't think there's any call for bases to be murdered in the short term here, but I guess he had the extra operations and figured he'd want one for a rainy day. For our Landsrad coming up here, all factions gain standing. That would be great for Vernius. It would actually finally push them out of the pits. Surprisingly pretty good standing on both Corrino and the Harkonnens. People are managing to find ways because it's been apart from the Vernius Corrino feud, it's been relatively peaceful, so people have been able to keep things up. And I gotta think that means Harkonnens and Smugglers have invested into their where is it? No, they haven't. The Harkonnens have. They've gone with the embassy. Very wise with Harkonnens, especially once you can get trade deals up, right? When the Harkonnens sign a trade agreement, says 3 Solari per village and 3% Solari production. What you do is you go in and you immediately build your embassy, which says having at least one treaty contracted with another faction gains a production bonus of 10% to its associated resources. What that means is you get an extra 10% Solari if you've got that Solari trade treaty up. So Harkonnens, of course, have gone into that. I'm a little surprised we don't see that on the Smugglers over here, but they're maybe a bit more... they're a bit tighter on their slots they can build in their main base. He has not gone military slots. He's gone 3 into yellow districts, and then he's spread his out. So what that means is he's not getting his Master Armorer's bonus. He's not getting his military investments bonus. So perhaps the army of the Smugglers, which is basically just snipers like you'd expect with Drisk, perhaps they're a little vulnerable. Bahutol has incredible micro though, so hence the giant sniper blob. I'm sure he'll be okay, but if people wanted to punish him... Alright, we're starting to see some purchasing. Harkonnen's up to 15%. They're finally buying. Somewhere, somehow. Not making a lot right now. I think probably they're just in rebellion in a lot of places. That's okay. Smugglers have crossed 500 spice a day. Somehow, some way. It's an insane amount. I don't know how they're really getting that much. I don't understand the mechanics of that, but it's an incredible amount of spice they're making. We see Vernius armies moving westward with a really large 8 spirits in the air. 8 spirits is a lot. This is just freed, so no one can take this for 2 days, but then it's going to come back online. Is Vernius going to try to claim this spice again before Corrino could do anything about it? Corrino grabbing just some more territory around them. Or no, they were blowing up a renegade base is what they were doing. That makes sense. I am sure that they want to get their hands on some more guild favor. A lot of guild favor for Smugglers and Harkonnens. All of Vernius's went into their spires, so they do not have a flagship on the way anytime soon. Flagship is already up for Smugglers, and they've got enough to build another one if they want to. I guess that's the strength of having your space cruiser in the back. Again, the Harkonnens very aggressively expanding, so they're right in, touching tips with the Smugglers here, touching tips with Corrino to the west. And we do see the Vernius trying to re-grab this spice field. I think they're going to be successful on it. They're going to get the same thing done to them. There's even more siege drones ready. There's still no good way for Vernius to deal with these defensive turrets. I think it's going to get chased off. Unless it gets pillaged. No, okay, they've contested. I was going to say, if they pillaged it, they'd keep it out of Corrino hands for a while, but Corrino got there in time. I think this is going to be a resounding Corrino victory. No, we've got backdoor, hidden backdoor used on the Corrino drone, so they are now shooting their own men, launching bombs right into the backs of the conscript riflemen. The Corrino ground forces are still far superior to the Vernius ones. The Vernius Air Force looks like it got picked apart a bit by maybe the early drones or these missile turrets there. Ooh, it was a decent fight for Vernius, but I think they're gonna lose it still. This is for somehow all these conscripts are max experience ranks. I don't know, they got all those experience. A sneak attack in the back actually, as the Vernius airfield is able to drop more troops in, but they've got no way to deal with these artillery drones. Okay, the hidden backdoor is off. They are now shooting Vernius. That's going to be the end of that. Vernius has got to pull back. Corrino took heavy casualties, lost almost everything on their ground force, but 4 artillery drones, if you don't have a way to deal, is an outrageous amount of damage. I mean, an artillery drone shoots for 64 power, and they do a big AoE splash, right? 4 of them, there's another hidden backdoor used on them, so they will shoot at... maybe that's bugged. Are they still shooting? Yeah, so they are backdoored right now, and they're still shooting at Vernius things. They're supposed to be shooting at Corrino things. Are they? Yeah, they are now. They're blasting away Corrino. Corrino did manage to finish the cap there. Okay, the drones look like maybe they bugged and they finished shooting a building for Verdius, and if Corrino takes any steps forward, I don't know, Vernius is using this opportunity to clear out the last. We've got Wensicia down. Oh my god, and Wensicia is being blown to pieces by the drones. She's got to get within their minimum range. This hidden back door has been brutal. I was talking about how good the drones are. Well, not if they turn against you. We've got some Sardaukar reinforcements coming out, trying to save Sissy, and the hidden back door comes off. So I think Corrino ought to be fine here. They've won the day. Yeah, they're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. What's going on up here? Just peace. Peace up north. Lots of pillaging. Not a lot of chome buying. I'm shocked that there's so much money moving around. 27k in the bank for the smugglers, 14k in the bank for the Harkonnens. I don't know if people just don't like the prices for things. The prices are exorbitant. 420 a share means it's what? 8,000, 9,000 to buy a 20 pack. So even though people are making good money, they're making so much spice that the market, the chome market, is extraordinarily expensive to buy into, and nobody really wants to pay 9,000 for a 20 stack of shares. So they're just sitting on huge chunks of money. 2.7 thousand solari a day for smugglers, 2.6 thousand solari a day for Harkonnens. These guys are making bank, but no one wants to spend it. Smugglers are also sitting on 82 water, which is a ridiculous amount of water. As there's no water sellers yet. Harkonnen's got the eye of the council. This is an interesting game. What's it going to shake out? No one knows how to play anymore. This new patch, no one knows how to win. It's tricky. I think the plan for everyone at this point is passive hedge. Too much money is being thrown around for anyone to really hope for a... Okay, we're starting to see aggression. Corrino took their win there and are using it to push back on the Vernius Western expansion. Now this is big. If they can get a hold of the special region, that will be very helpful. So to put them back in the game on some sort of hegemony push. It also cripples Vernius because Vernius does not have the special regions to spare for it. So it seems like the Corrino Vernius teeter-totter of power has tilted back towards Corrino now, which is only good news for the Harkonnens and the smugglers, really. People are thinking, Judge of the Council is up, that's not a big deal. Imperial Intelligence for cell searches. We can take another quick look through, see if anyone's got any information levels up on their neighbors. I do not see it. I don't think there's any assassinations going on. There's probably some cells about just for funsies, but this Imperial Intelligence doesn't matter at all. Nobody's getting assassinated. Manpower might be useful. Is anyone hurting manpower? Corrino and Vernius are both doing just fine on the manpower, actually, and obviously smugglers and Harkonnens are manpower capped out of their mind, since they've been living very peaceful lives. If we see smugglers are getting... Harkonnen's looking good. Smugglers are getting very close to the dreaded 20k, though, when you pop up on everyone's radar. You know, if they're not paying attention already, which they ought to. These are seasoned players. If I'm playing a lobby with good players, I check this faction summary constantly, every couple of minutes. I need to know what people's passive levels are. I need to know what people's relative amounts of chome are, what Landsrat is. Harkonnen Landsrat, Harkonnens could theoretically be eligible for governorship in just 30 more standing. That would be insane if there was a Harkonnen governor. I don't think it's in the cards, given that they haven't gone for the triple blue, so they don't got a lot of votes to work with. They are making 15 influence, which is a huge amount. But smugglers, without even trying, are making their own. I can't quite see what that is. 14 or so. Smugglers are going to be able to cockblock anything that the Harkonnens want to do, and the smugglers are going to win on hegemony before the Harkonnens do. So, let that be that. I think smugglers are looking in a really, really, really good spot. Again, just because they've built up a big chunk of this passive gain here. And the passive gain is always so important because it can't be removed, right? You know, people could come and liberate your territories sometimes, but they can't take away what's already accrued passively. So you can always retake your land later and have that passive to come back to. Meanwhile, very little passive for Corrino. He is so far behind. He is 6,000 behind the smugglers. Very hard to see how he might be able to contest hegemony. He's not making enough authority. His authority bank is empty. I think he's probably annexing this, which made him empty. But Vernius is got tons of authority. Smugglers are not banking their authority, but they don't really need to. It's not time for that yet. But when they get closer, they do have this special region they could grab. They do have a number of non-specials in their backfield they could grab as well. But there's a lot of territory too, so that could be expensive for the smugglers to do. Lordy, I don't know. Smugglers in first place. Harkonnen's closely behind. The Corrino Vernius blood feud has been at times beneficial and at times terrible for both of them. Really, it's crippled Corrino, but it hasn't been. The Corrino strikes back now, and now it is not so good for Vernius either. People are still thinking and talking, maybe? I don't know. Hopefully, these lands reds are taking way too long, and I don't. It looks like it's often Lolgek who is taking his time with them. You are not to be using the Landsrad pause timer in order to do stuff in the game. You are to use the Landsrad long timer to talk to people or to do very carefully thought out voting. You should not close this out and then go, make sure I'm built out here and make sure I've built my militia here. I mean, you can if you're waiting on someone, but don't make everybody else wait on you for 2 minutes while you're doing other stuff. That is against the rules for us. So I'm watching you, Lolgek. Don't do that anymore. You spend too much. I'm watching you, Lolgek. Don't do that anymore. You spend too much. Record scratch. Hello, this is Future Devak. I had a technical issue while I was recording this video, and my microphone stopped recording for like half an hour. Much to my chagrin, but it's such a good game, such a good recording. I wanted to go back and flesh it out for you. So I am Future Devak dubbing over this for you, and I will hand it back off to past Devak when he solves his microphone problems in like half an hour. So I'm going to try and give you some more commentary, but I no longer have control of the screen. That was what past Devak was doing, and who knows what the hell he's doing or talking about. So, okay, let's go. We've got House Harkonnen here. They are being pretty chill. I'm checking out their tech. They've gotten their mandatory stuff. This is what I'm talking about here. We're talking about how Harkonnens can prepare still for a boom. They've got these 3 territories near them, and their instill fear tech allows them to stack up reduced costs on it. And since he's been pillaging these all game long, they've got 5 or 6 stacks on them, meaning they're 50 or 60% less authority for him to annex. So he's got a bit of a hegemony boom he can kind of do there at pretty cheap prices. Maybe like figure 150, maybe 200-ish authority, and he could annex those 3 pieces. That would be almost, it'd be almost 2,000. So he's got a little boom in his back pocket there. If he needs it. He's got so much territory, though, the further out ones that he's not pillaged at all will be more difficult for him to grab. So going to be tricky for him to do that. The smugglers are sitting on a bit of territory that they could grab. We see everybody's operations that they've got prepped. Smugglers are still sitting on their defense breaches. I feel like they want to blow somebody up here. But for now, peace up north. Harkonnens and the smugglers continue their peaceful ways. They are pillaging the lands, planting, harvesting, reaping, sowing, all that good stuff. They're just making money. Meanwhile, down here, we continue with the standoff, the battle between Vernius and Corrino. Corrino again, moving forward with the siege drones, blasting away at the defensive buildings of that lead Vernius base back there. Corrino's been forced into a military factory, which is further hurting their economy. They've come pretty well back online, though. We could see smugglers are sitting on 50k right now. 24% chom on the Harkonnens, only 15% on the smugglers. They certainly could be booming more. We could check the share price. It's pretty expensive. It's roughly 6,000 Solari for 20 shares. So maybe people just don't want to be paying that price. But again, it's so expensive because they're making such absurd amounts of spice, though, so they're really getting a lot of money. But and down in the south of Arrakis, and here is where we notice the smuggler army. The smugglers have shifted to a full free company army, and that is what you do if you want to kill someone's base. They've got the stealth, they've got the dismantling tools. We know he's got a defense breaches up. What is he doing? So he's walking to the east. He's just pillaging with this army right now. But you don't build 13 free company unless you're going to go try and base kill someone. So we know what he's thinking. Who does the smuggler want to base kill? I mean, his only real rival at this point for the clear lead is the Harkonnens. And here we see Corrino has moved in on Vernius. I believe they're just liberating. Corrino's been pretty tight on the authority, not a lot to spare. So they've been sort of moving up with the siege drones, shelling down the defenses of Vernius, and then moving in and liberating territory. And that's how they're fighting back. And Vernius doesn't feel like he can compete with that, or at least doesn't know how to deal with it yet. So he is stuck, just getting kind of slowly pushed back into the corner here. Harkonnens and Smugs, both over 20k in the hegemony, so we could certainly start to see some trouble. We check the diplomacy. Everybody really is still non-aggression pact at the moment. The lots and lots of operations are loaded up. Harkonnens are loaded up with combat operations. Vernius is loaded up with everything, mostly combat operations as well, and smugglers are loaded up with all of their stuff, their comm jamming, their defensive breaches. We're gonna be moving into the end game here as people are getting closer to win conditions, and what are we gonna do? Vernius and Corrino are not necessarily, neither of them are profiting off of this anymore, Vernius had sort of that early lead, but they've struggled to deal with the, ironically, with the mechanical units of Corrino. And that's tricky to do. Hidden backdoor is great, but it costs 500 intel, which is a whole lot. If we take a look at things, smugglers are cooking 57 a day, 31 a day on the Harkonnens. So though they are ahead, they're ahead just by nature of having a whole lot more land grabbed at this point in time. Whereas the smugglers don't have a ton of land, it's just that they've been cooking a much higher daily hegemony for a long, long time. So no matter how you look at it, that is a much better situation to be in. We're up to 27 on the Harkonnens, 20% chom shares on the smugglers, so they're continuing to buy. Smugglers are still sitting on a huge bank, 3 times or more what the Harkonnens have. Vernius is okay, not making anything day to day, but he's got a bit of a bank. The Vernius spice has taken a big hit. He's down to only 149 a day, less than Corrino's getting now with his juiced up harvesters, even though he only has 2. But even with that forward spice field liberated, Vernius could just send his little spice drone back out there. He doesn't actually need that land to be harvesting that spice. But being so close to Corrino land, you never know if it could come get blown up. The smugglers are making an absolutely absurd 559 spice a day. Good golly. How are they doing that? That is so much. Oh my god. I'm checking out the Harkonnens have gone heavy into 3 yellow district, 2 yellow district, so they've gone for everything, all the good stuff. And I'm trying to figure out where that last harvesting buff comes from. I think it's harvesting works, but it's like an extra 100 that the smugglers are pulling, and I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. We got a Landsrad timer in the running, and I think maybe earlier I was casting aspersions on Lolgek about taking too long. I've been assured by the players that this was all them chatting and discussing things in the background and not actually running out the clock or doing other stuff that they ought not to. So I take it back. We are back online here. People are looking around. There's some raiders coming out of sieges. Vernius is pushed way back. They're stepping out again, but there's not a lot going for him at this point in time. They're slowly losing this push from Corrino, and he's walking out past Corrino. I believe, okay, we see a trade deal just went down between House Vernius and House Corrino, and they have accepted. So there is peace once more between the purple and the white. Vernius leaves his organic troops behind because they're about to run out of supplies, sends his mechanical troops forward to lay claim to the shield wall up here. Now, why would Corrino let this happen? Well, because I think they're about to bury the hatchet and join forces to take on the other two factions that have been sort of running away from them. Corrino and Vernius, seasoned players, they know that they can't just continue bashing their heads into each other and not getting anything from it. They got to do something about this smuggler menace, or honestly the Harkonnen menace, who is really slightly ahead in win conditions, but sort of only because the smugglers are letting him be. So Corrino is moving their army back around their base. Not sure where they're headed. We're checking some diplomacy. We could see that they're at peace now, and we can see the Harkonnen army now marching forward, moving up, getting into position. Is this the time when the smugglers pay for their sins? Smugglers hanging back around their own base. He's got eyes. He can see Vernius on the border. He can see Harkonnens on the border. He's got to know what's coming. His Wraith is actually, his flagship's right in the middle of the map around the polar sink, sort of out of position, not with his army. We see Corrino coming up. Of course, the Corrino tech means you can walk through, you can walk through peaceful neighbors' lands and not lose any supply. So he can walk right over and join forces with Vernius here. We check out Vernius, and they have been buying mercenaries. They've got marauders around. They've been using the points of interest to pull mercenaries out of the map, so he's got an extra large army back there. He is ready for this. Here we see Corrino joining forces with Vernius. Enemies can become friends. It is the way of Dune Spice Wars. And it looks like they're moving. They are moving in, finally declaring war on the smugglers. And the Harkonnens are too, but we see the smugglers immediately fly their army north. They are going for a base snipe. The Harkonnens are wildly out of position. They see, they're tunnel visioned on the Wraith down here, the flagship for the smugglers, and they're trying to kill it. Meanwhile, up north, the smugglers army, and it's not so stealth now because they have all those mercenaries mixed in it, but the full army is running on the Harkonnen base. Okay. They put down the flagship, and he sees the problem. He needs to get back home now because the smugglers, and it's taken some time. The terrain hasn't been favorable for the smugglers, but now they're on it. Hidden explosives goes off, defense breaches go down, and they are blasting. Harkonnens do not have a forward airfield though, so they need to walk further back. I think the next region has an airfield, so they gotta walk back. The base is getting liquidated. Are they gonna make it in time down to half health already. They did drop the toxic vapors right away, so that's helping a lot to lower the health of the units. And there's no good tanky units for the smugglers, so they are slowly getting whittled down. Oh, the base is so low. It's at nothing, 4,000 health, but the Harkonnen army is here, and they're cleaning up. The toxic vapors lowered the smuggler army so low, they were really cleaning up super fast once they got back. And the Harkonnen base lives on 2,000.1. 2,100 health. Oh my god, it's one teeny tiny pip. Oh, and unfortunately, Ashaman, our Harkonnen player, disconnects here for a moment. What a time to disconnect. He did manage to return home. He did manage to save his base, although it is not very saved to be on that last little pixel of health. A strong breeze could come and blow over Carthage at this point in time. Not looking great for the Harkonnens. Even if they win, they're in an extremely perilous position here. But we've seen the full sniper army wiped out, and it is basically a 3v1, or not sniper army. It was a sniper army, but the full smuggler army wiped out. It was a Free Company army. And it is a 3v1 against the smugglers. And we can see Vernius and Corrino are going for it. They are both liberating the middle, and now they're marching on the smuggler home base. Vahutol at home, panic, building as many mercenaries as possible. He has a gargantuan bank of money at this point, and boom, there we go. There's like 20 mercenaries to try and defend the base. But he has the combined Corrino and Vernius armies here, and there's still Harkonnens up north who don't like him very much. Vernius is sitting on defense breaches. Siege to it gets an admin burden on it. Oh, the smugglers are looking pretty dead to me. They're looking pretty dead. They pop out of stealth and they start blasting away at Vernius, but they're very stacked up, so the bombs, the AoE bombs from the siege drones are just mass wiping them. And, you know, a mercenary army can't really stand up to a proper balanced army, and there are two proper balanced armies here. He moves his rally point to the back, and he's summoning in more mercenaries. Mercenaries still can be trained very, very quickly, even in the midst of admin burden. But the base is starting to go down. It's looking grim, and the Harkonnens are coming from the north. That's gonna be the nail in the coffin here. He does get a comm jams up, and he comm jams his base, removing the supply drops on it, removing the defense breaches. So now it's got all of its armor back, and the enemies are running out of supplies around it. He's starting to blast away with his mercenaries, and you know, I think he might have held if it was Corrino and Vernius. But it is Corrino and Vernius and the Harkonnens, and Harkonnen armies are so powerful. In terms of raw DPS they can put out against a base, there's just no chance here. The siege drones are blowing huge chunks of these mercenaries away. Yep, the Harkonnens are finishing them off here. Oh, it is the end of Vahutol. Rest in peace, smuggler player. Before he dies, he will get one last Landsrad, and architectural surveys is in it. That is not going to do him any favors. That makes bases take even more damage. Corrino puts an Imperial Edict on that, meaning that it's going to go on everybody's base. Harkonnens are sweating profusely. They certainly don't want their base more vulnerable to take any more damage. The only way to repair damage on a base is to get a good, a particular Landsrad edict that says your base heals by X amount each whatever time. And that is obviously not up, so the Harkonnens are stuck with their 2,000 health main base for to the next Landsrad. That's what, like 20 days away. It's gonna be pretty dangerous for them. So the smugglers are gonna be dead. The Harkonnens are not gonna be able to leave their base, and even if they stay there defending it, the enemies might still be able to blow it apart, even with defenders, because there's just no way to stop them from doing 2,000 damage. Siege Tuick is at 900 health. There's no chance. If it had been, I don't know, a Landsrad that maybe like gave him automatic peace with everybody or something, or one that gave him super armor and healing for his base, maybe, but that's not in the cards. He's dead. Smugglers are out. There go our front runners. The king is dead. Long live the king. Harkonnens, our new front runners, ever so perilously, with 2,000 health on their base. They are going home as quickly as they can. Corrino and Vernius returning home. Everybody's got to get back to some supply lines so that their organic troops don't die from lack of water. We've got 20,000 Solari on the Harkonnens. The price of Chome is cratering, going way down. All of the smuggler shares are returned to the market. House Harkonnen sitting on 30%. 30% is good, but 20k is not going to buy that last 20%. Corrino and Vernius are so poor that they are going to have a hard time contesting Harkonnen Chome over a long term here. So they're going to need to do something about this. Harkonnen's still making really more than both Corrino and Vernius put together. Okay, Harkonnens are sitting on their base. They recognize the extreme danger that they are in, and it really is truly extreme. Hammers flying up for Corrino. He's headed back north. What's he looking for with his hammers? He's headed into the desert. Don't know what he's picking off. We could see that Harkonnens still have trade agreements up with both factions. They need to break those. Don't have a trade agreement up with someone who is Choman, and the Harkonnens are the only Choman faction anymore. We got everybody is currently non-aggression pact with each other. Nobody has betrayed that yet. We've got peace reigns in the land ever so briefly. Trade agreement up there. And the Harkonnens are stepping out to do a little pillaging. Oh, I just saw it. They're looking. The share prices is in the pits. He could start buying, but Corrino started flying up towards the Harkonnen base. Look, they're on it right now. They used their peace with the Harkonnens to use the Harkonnen airfields, that Corrino tech, and they have betrayed the Harkonnens and jumped right on his base. There go the siege drones locking in, launching. Boom! Harkonnens are dead. Oh, you never ever accept peace with Corrino if they want to blow up your base. Corrino have that development that says they can use their allies' airfields. So if you are in a non-aggression pact with Corrino, they could just fly right over to your base and blow it up like they did just then. And if it's only got 2,000 health, they don't even have to try hard to blow it up. It's easy peasy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are down to a 1v1 here. Corrino versus Vernius. Boy, oh boy. So there's sort of two aspects to this. I think we could see Corrino's got the betrayer buff on him, so he's gonna suffer some political penalties, some economic penalties. Yeah, no votes, less influence, less chome rate. So that only lasts for like 30 days or so. I don't think he's a pariah, because he had a lot of standing to begin with. Nobody's got any Chome shares now, and nobody's got any money to buy them. Here's the problem, though. Vernius is a very good fast expander, and they are excellent at this end game expanding especially. He's sitting on, and it escapes my brain the name right now, but the counselor he has is the 20% reduced authority to annex a region adjacent to only one node of your purple line. And of course, Corrino's paying extra penalties to authority to annex anything further away from their main bases. He does not have any main base drops available. He was at peace with the smugglers until shortly before they died. He was at peace with the Harkonnens right up until they died. And in order to get that third base drop, you need to be at war with someone for, it's like 50 days, I think, almost 2 months. So he did not unlock his third base drop. He is stuck on 2 bases. Vernius has a huge hegemony lead, almost 7,000 over him. Corrino's starting to grab stuff. Valuable trinkets is obfuscated at this point in time, so nobody's even making any passive hedge. So this is down to domination. Can one of them kill each other? Or if it's going to be hegemony, it's hard to see that Vernius not winning an expansion race. We do see the hammers, the Corrino ships come out and start trying to punish the Vernius expansion force. He's doing a good split. He's moving his guys out and about. He's got enough railgun drones here to bring these hammers down, though. Again, the hammers do good AoE damage, so that's why he's grabbing units and spreading them out so they don't all take too much damage at once. And they do manage to pick off the Corrino Air Force. Felt like that was a little wasteful. I don't know if I would have done that. It does let him see that he's far away. Okay, here we see Vernius at 21k, Corrino at 18k. Corrino is marching on the S-Vault, though. Can he base snipe Vernius? You can see these neural nodes are zapping him with lightning, right? These are now the new turrets of Vernius with their fancy new border defense technology, the automated defenses. And there's a lot here, so it's going to be real tough for Corrino to punch through these defenses into the S-Vault defenses. I don't think he's got it. Also, critically, in order to really burn down a base as Corrino, you need incinerators involved. Incinerators apply a debuff of every time they attack, they apply some burning debuff, and the burning debuff, it increases the amount of damage that something takes. So it's really critical to have those hit in the main base. The artillery drones are blasting away. I would have liked to see Vernius jump straight on top of those artillery drones instead of run in and start attacking the ground troops, because the artillery drones are just, they're the big problem for Vernius at this point in time. And he does not have a hidden back door to do anything about it right now. He's going to be fine here. There was nowhere near enough damage going down in the base. I'm pretty sure he will clean up this army. We've got a Landsrad. Corrino's got no votes, just some influence, but almost more than double on Vernius. So Vernius gets to decide what happens here. We got a Speaker of the Council, a Sale Incentive, War of Assassins. I don't think anyone particularly cares about those. Speaker of the Council is always good to have. Corrino's still sitting on 380 Landsrad standing, only 220 on Vernius. So Vernius is not even eligible for any of these offices. Governorship's probably out of play. Even though Corrino's up to 400 Landsrad standing, you need 450 to get Governor online. And because Vernius has a triple blue district, they've got an extra 100 votes. I don't think Corrino's going to be able to politically bully him off. Hey, we saw the heal go down from Winsisia, healing up the conscripts. They are still battling away here. Well, I wish he had jumped straight on those artillery drones, because those are really causing some damage. They're falling back a little bit. Also, the drones have such a huge dead zone around them because of their added range. They're no good if you get too close to them. Nuwa here is getting picked on. She's going to end up sniped off here. Yeah, when Sissia puts her down, actually. But then Sissia's going down herself. The drones are in trouble. The Kronos is in trouble. There's a lot of range units here. I think this Kronos is not long for this Earth. And Vernius holds their base. No problem. Took maybe 5% damage. Not bad at all. We've got an admin burden down on Corrino. So that's Vernius stopping them from being able to rebuild their army quickly. And they do bring down the Kronos. And they chase away 2 of the siege drones, but don't finish them off. 350 authority on Vernius, only 200 on Corrino. Vernius is making more, 11 versus Corrino's 8. And with the 20% discount, while Corrino is paying the extra premium for things being distant from their bases, the expansion is wildly in favor. Wonders of the Desert, all the good green tech is up on Vernius, so they get, bargain basement prices for their expansion. Hard to see anyway. Not even hard to see, impossible for Corrino to out-expand this Vernius force. I think Vernius needs to focus on taking territory, and I think the only Corrino option here is to battle Vernius. They've got to try to lean into their military might. And they got a lot of time, right? Because remember, we don't have much in the way of hedge booms these days. Vernius is still 8,500 hegemony away from winning the game. We might be here for a while, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like Corrino is marshaling their army again. They had been trading pretty well. I think what I want them to do is more of a cautious, slow push, right? If you can just take, if you can just if you could annex or even just liberate one region at a time from Vernius, they will never win. You can take their regions as fast as they could take new regions as long as you win battles, right? 1v1's a very different beast. You know, there's no help coming for Vernius if they fall behind, if they get in trouble. I think both of these guys are suffering on the economic front a bit. Vernius doesn't want a war of attrition because they're going to have a real hard time paying to buy new drones every time they need to rebuild an army. Meanwhile, buying a whole bunch more conscripts for Corrino is much more sustainable. And I'm poking around trying to look at authority values here, but it's hard to, I can't quite figure out how to say, you know, when I'm checking these values, it's clearly values for Corrino to annex, and what I really want to see is the values for how much Vernius wants to play to annex, but I don't know how to switch that yet. We'll see. Looks like Corrino moving in on Vernius again here. There go the siege drones. They get off a couple blasts, and Vernius flies away. He doesn't want anything to do with this. Only some of the guys fly away. Some of the others got stuck in combat and are not able to catch their flights. And then the Corrino force is chasing them down. So no middle annex for Vernius. Corrino gets there in time. I think they could have had a chance there, but they're being cautious. All right, Corrino going into siege mode. He's trying to take down the Vernius airfield up there. Oh, we see a hidden back door getting prepped, coming online for Vernius. It's not ready yet, so he's waiting for the hidden back door to come online. That's the 500 intel. Oh, he's coming back. Must be ready. He does want to fight this. The 500 intel Vernius mission that takes control of any mechanical units. It is ready. He's going in. Okay, he pops it. The siege drones turn, but Horus on Corrino's doing real well. He pops an EMP on the Vernius army, and then he runs back on top of his siege drones, but have this big dead zone around them that they can't shoot at because they took the longer cannons upgrade, which doubles the minimum range. But still, he's getting beaten up. He doesn't have quite enough command points, not enough manpower to fight off the Vernius army here. Even just taking those siege drones offline for a little while, and the siege drones put some parting shots on him. Even just taking those 4 siege drones offline. What a siege drone's what? It's like 5 command points, I think. So that's like 20 command points. That's like a third, roughly, of the Corrino army in mechanical units there. I mean, them getting turned off is a huge swing in the favor of Corrino. But it's tricky because if they're not turned off, they're so oppressive. Oh, they come back online, they start blasting. I wish he would have sat on top of him and just wiped him out. I think that would have been the way to do it. He's going to get 1, maybe 2 here, but a couple will escape. Vernius is down to only 1,000 Solari, but Corrino's down to only 80 manpower. Tricky. Vernius needs the money to rebuild his drones. Corrino needs the manpower to rebuild his conscripts. What do? It's tricky. It's very hard for them. And I don't know if Corrino has the space in order to expand his operation. He might miss. His stockpile is going down. I think that's just them stuff being chased by worms. He's gonna catch a spice tax. He'll be okay, but he's gonna need to make sure he is he's spicing out there. He did get a pillage on the middle, which devastates it and locks it out for like 20 days. So Vernius can't take the middle. That's a good thing. Corrino did manage to get Speaker of the Council last session, which is sort of surprising. He uses that to get rid of gear regulations in this session, when Vernius has him overmatched from votes and influence. Loss of rights could happen. Not that big of a deal. Apparently there's a thumper down there. I guess Vernius wanted to keep Corrino locked in there and not walking out, because Vernius looks like he is headed to the east now. He wants to go snap up some of that smuggler land, which is exactly what he should do. He should be making sure he's putting to use his authority discounts, make sure he is doing that expansion, because he's got to keep up at it. If Corrino ever gets a good victory on him and is able to decap something, to liberate it, it's going to put a rough situation in for Vernius. Loss of rights does pass, so all of Corrino's offices are gone. Labor rights passes, further hurting everybody's economic situation. And selling chome shares now grants 2 authority per share, but these boys don't have any chome shares. These are the poor folks here. They ate the rich guys and didn't get any of their chome shares out of that deal. All right, we do see a special region up there. That's like that's the Observatory Mountain is going to be going to Vernius's hands here. I love to see it. So at this point in time, any special you take is 1,600 hegemony. We are still about 8,000 shy of victory for Vernius. If he pays spice taxes will pay him out about 1,200. So we get a spice tax in 7 days. He's gonna hit it just barely. He's hurting for cash, even though he's on 5 spice harvesters. We are in here for a while. We're locked in for a while. Let me check my timer here. I think my in-game commentary comes back on in maybe 10 days here or something. So future Davok signing off shortly, and Davok of the past, when he was recording this, coming back online. He'll probably be very confused. Why is my mic not working? Oh, let me tell you, past Davok, it's gonna be okay. We'll get through this together. Corrino's looking around. He's trying to figure out what to annex. I mean, if he wants the worm field, it's almost 500, 450 to take that. The other special up by the Harkonnens was 400 to take. It's the penalties for wider expansion for Corrino are just too much for an end game hedge race like this. I think he really needs to he needs to expand his manpower, and he needs to just double down on a slow, cautious push. Keep Vernius busy. Anything that you can take and liberate off of Vernius is for the best. Vernius is up to making 12 versus the Corrino 8. He's making 50% more authority. Anyways, nobody's buying any chome. These are, once again, extremely poor people. They've been locked in a forever war, a death struggle for so long now. And peace reigns while Vernius is looking for things to take or pillage, and Corrino is trying to rebuild his army here. Whew. The very, very slow endgame. It was looking like maybe Corrino had a chance to sort of push through with the domination, but Vernius has sort of fought him back twice now. Put the fear of purple in him. It does look like Corrino's marshaled a new army and is headed south. We've got another annex, just a normal region in the east for Vernius. I think I want him focusing on just trying to reach towards special regions. Grabbing normal regions just are not enough. One special is worth almost 3 normal regions, so you really want to focus on them. All right. Future Adam signing off. I'm going to hand it back, or Future Davok signing off. I'm going to hand it back to Davok of the past, who was going to fix his microphone issues any day now. Don't you just hate when things don't work out quite right? But I think we fixed it up for you. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. We got a heck of a game coming. Corrino is marching in. Microphone, there it is. Can you hear me? Hopefully we haven't lost all that. I got cut. My microphone got cut out there for some reason. Here we are battling. Corrino has gone back in on Vernius here and is contesting him. but it looks like the defensive benefits for Vernius are gonna endure. I think they're gonna be just all right here. Oh my goodness, when did I lose my microphone there? It's getting, his base is getting nuked here. Corrino's in big trouble. Vernius is backing off to do some more annexing. They're at 25. There's the nuke on it. Did some damage, but I think Corrino has committed to burning stuff down. And Vernius has committed to expanding, trying to grab territories, which is the right play. He's got... there's not great territories to get anymore. These rocks are sort of holding him off from grabbing the space wreck, which would be a big one for him. He's kicking himself now for, probably, for obfuscating crafts. But crafts would be good for Vernius, but would be better at this point. Or crafts would be good for Corrino, but would be better at this point for Vernius. Oh dear. Vernius leaning into the authority gain. I'm guessing if we look at his agents, he's gone full analytical machines on Arrakis. Turned all the computers on to ask them how to get more authority. And it's looking like we will do a slow slide into a hegemonic victory for Vernius here. We got another 17 days on a slow spice tax. We got a decent chunk of authority on him. I'd like to see him grab stuff with it. Looks like Corrino is going to go use their authority. We could, you know, I guess my recommendation at this point is probably still the slow push for Corrino. He's not going to win the race. I think if he, you know, if he does a slow concentrate, he comes down, he blasts this away, maybe he liberates this. He comes down, he blasts this away, maybe he liberates this. He's been losing a lot of, oh my god, don't do water regulations. It's gonna make the game take an extra half an hour. He's been losing a lot when he's been trying to base dive, just because there's a lot of defensive turrets here. The base has a huge defensive turret. He just hasn't been winning that fight at all. But he could still do that slow push, you know. Roll up here, put your siege drones on, blow away the turrets if you really want to be super safe, move in and take stuff. 27k on Vernius. They are just grabbing whatever they can grab at the moment. I gotta think that their stuff next to their base would be pretty cheap. There's a water cellar caravan he could grab there. There's two water cellar caravans he could grab for the bonus authority. And I don't see a way that Corrino could do anything. Corrino, did he grab anything else yet? He hasn't. I don't know what he's doing. I think he's flustered. He's floundering. He's not sure what to make of this. And time is on Vernius' side here. You could do individual camera views. You could see Vernius is kind of looking at stuff. Corrino, sitting at his base, feeling sad. Sitting at his base, feeling sad. Yeah. I mean, he can see the purple line growing, and there's not a lot he can do about it. Let's go back to our no fog view. We're almost in the end game here. We've got 11 days for a spice tax. If there was, what would Vernius grab next? Probably stuff next to their base, I'm guessing at this point. If he wants a special, he's got to go 2 steps up to the north, and there's no more specials to the east. I think you could still do that probably, but you could also just grab the stuff next to your base. That's probably fairly cheap. He is pillaging a siege. That's a wise decision. If you kill a siege, sieges usually provide extra authority. I'm pretty sure, right? I think we ought to see it pop up when he does it. Burning down sieges usually provide money and sometimes like plascrete and usually like an authority boost. I think they give you a whole bunch of stuff. I think it's bigger if you're the Harkonnens, or maybe the Harkonnens only get the authority from it. I'm not exactly sure now that we're talking about it. That siege was devastated. He does now have a bunch of authority to work with. He's walking. He's walking. So I think it's a victory if he takes this one and then the one above it, the special above it. That would be the way to go if he can see all the way up there. Can we see what he's looking at? He's looking at Corrino, keeping a close eye on him. He's not entirely sure. He doesn't want to get base sniped, so he's being cautious. We wish he wasn't cautious. We wish he would just go for it, because is Corrino even making men anymore? I don't know. Corrino's rather low on manpower. Everybody's relatively low. Nope, Corrino was making hammers. And he's nuking. He's making nukes and hammers. Can a hammer hurt the base at all? He's going to try. Nope, teleport back. He's in trouble. Run away. The folder relay has ruined that plan. Can the hammers trade into this forest? They're doing damage, but they're getting cleaned up faster than they're not getting. It's not cost-effective damage. Yeah, it's gone. It's all going down. You were too close to too many different turrets and guns and things, and blowing up a few drones is not that big of a deal at this moment in time. I mean, that's also the other thing is there's, I guess, Corrino's resources are fairly tight. Vernius's resources are fairly tight too. Before he was lower on money, and he's doing much better on the money now, but because it costs the money to make the drones, you could have, again, leaned into sort of attritional warfare with him, and then even sort of bankrupted him that way. I think that could have been a victory for Vernius, but here goes, or rather, a victory plan for Corrino is what I was saying there. Here goes Vernius to expand up north. Gonna be real tough to do anything about that for Corrino. The Vernius base, despite being nuked twice and dove twice or so, is looking just fine. What's our spice tax at? 0 days. Okay, well, it's going to be quite close. This is going to get annexed. Still 126. Yep, he's going to need to annex something else still. Something else still. There's a handful of... Oh, the Landsred Punishers. The Landsred Council is not happy with Corrino for using nukes. So there are the neutral guys getting spawned to fight it. Vernius took that. He paid his spice tax. He will definitely win in 24 more days, or he could come up and he can annex Sandfall, and then he will win right away. So I suspect he is just waiting for authority to build up. Oh, what a sort of sad, slow slide into a very long victory. It was a crazy game, though. A crazy, crazy game. You love to see bases blown up. The 3v1 was pretty rough on the Smugglers, but he almost made it a 2v1 by killing the Harkonnens first. Just wasn't quite able to finish it off there. Corrino got bullied pretty bad by Vernius early in the game and just did not have a very good spawn. He might be able to liberate. If he liberates this, it does slow Vernius down a lot. Vernius, do you have the resources to just go annex this one? You could annex this much faster than he could liberate that, but it might just be too expensive right now. Looks like Vernius wants to fight it. And I assume that's because he doesn't have enough authority up there. He could buy authority here. That's all the authority for sale at the moment and around him. Ooh, Landsred Guards would be a big boon for Vernius here. The rest of the stuff doesn't matter as much. All right, people have moved through the Landsred Council quickly. Thank you, boys. Let's move this along. Guards did come down. That'll be helpful because they'll be fighting on Vernius territory. There are guards to fight for Corrino. Vernius looks like... So Corrino's gone full conscript. No more siege drones. And I think Vernius is not sure what to do about that. Here comes the full Vernius force here. They're going to contest it. Vernius resources. He's got a big chunk of authority. I wish we could see how much this annex is for him. This is the Corrino cost. I don't know how to switch it over and see the Vernius cost. Vernius is just looking at this. I mean, if this gets decapped, it's not a ton. This is just a normal region, so it would drop him back by 600. He's going in. The hammers are striking. The healing is coming out. Corrino looks not happy with what's happening. Alright. I think he was trying to fall back from the defenses back in this other base. Now he's trading well. Railguns are picking off the hammers. There's a EMP happens in this region, which will hurt the Vernius front line. Yep, I think Corrino is gonna clean up the ground forces, probably. Do we have reinforcements coming for Vernius here? We've got reinforcements being made by Corrino, but he is admin burdened. We don't have admin burden on the S-Vault, and reinforcements are getting queued up right now. It's actually, he's trading pretty well. Better than expected. I think Vernius needed to focus down Nuwa here. Nuwa's heals were instrumental in keeping stuff alive. Now she's dead, but I think the railguns might clean this up. When Sisia's still here, there is one hammer. Can they kill 7 railguns that were recently buffed? I think the railguns can win this. Do we have the... No one's got any reinforcements in the short term. What are you doing? No, fight, Vernius. Fight. Fight. You can take this. You can take this. You don't need to run. You don't need to run. Wait, is there a nuke? There's another nuke back at the base. Interesting. I don't think that's necessary. I don't think that's going to accomplish anything. What's our spice tax on? 11 days. Pay attention. Kill that last guy. Thank you. Okay. Please just end this game, Vernius. Please, God. Okay. Vernius successfully defends themselves. They will win on spice tax in 11 days, or they are sitting on almost 400 authority. They could annex two close by cheap regions. They could annex this last special region way up there. And then here comes Corrino again, but if I'm Vernius, I don't even worry about it. I just go and annex and you're all good. A liberate or an annex takes 7-8 days to do. Just go annex something. You can leave him there. In fact, he's just pillaging. Which is not the right button to click. Nope, he's unpillaging. Is he? We don't know. It's still pillaging. Let him pillage it. You want it to be pillaged, because then he can't get rid of it from you. Oh, okay. Alright, just let it be. Please, just end this. End this suffering for us. Almost there. I think we're gonna let the spice tax ride it out. 8 more days. 7 more days. Vernius holds the line. Horus Ra on the Corrino has failed to break Vernius's back. Vernius has been able to expand and take the Smuggler territory and some Harkonnen territory on the backs of the superior expansion of Bronzo and the superior authority of their analytical computers. He's up to 16 daily, which is a huge boost. That's quite a bit. 16 daily is a vast amount of hedge. But just get under your folder relay and teleport up here and take that. Or annex this one and that one. I don't care. Just annex some stuff. It's there. It's there for you. Alright. Ubin's getting annexed. That's not going to be enough. He still needs one more. He needs one more normal region. Go take this one, or that one, or that one. Just take something else. The Landsrat is attacking Corrino again. Corrino he did manage to take up north, but there is no Corrino army left. He's surrendered, I think. Verdius not exactly moving with alacrity here. I guess it was just really expensive. That was almost 400 he spent just to take this thing that was directly next to his base. So he just doesn't have enough authority for other grabs. I would have liked would have liked then to see that 500 authority, because nothing could cost more than 500, spent on this one up here. But yet again, I think we are waiting for a spice tax in 2 days, which he's going to pay, right? Yes, he's going to pay it. And that'll be our game. Whew. An exhaustive one. You see some very cautious play oftentimes in these sort of end game tournament finals, so I'm not too surprised that the way that things turned out. You also sometimes see some really aggressive, crazy play. Man, if the Smugglers had killed the Harkonnens and then fought people off, they would have been in it would have been an amazing position for them to like hold a 2v1 and then maybe chome to victory, or even maybe hedge, because they were in a really close spot for it. Cool game. Definitely enjoyable. Definitely fun to watch the spectators and be able to see stuff happening out in the world. Follow along. Oh my god, guys! Please just click off of the Landsraad Council. We want to get to an end game screen here. I know you can do it. There it is. 30.6. Game over. Here is a game summary. Developments, knowledge, economy. The Smugglers and the Harkonnens, the only one making any money. Smugglers peaked at 63,000 in the bank. That's crazy. Oh boy. I mean, the game ended and some people were at like 18, or not the game ended, but like 2 factions died and the last guys are at 18,000 hegemony, and we gotta wait for them to go all the way up with no craft shops. Month 11 is an exceedingly late game. Nukes, but to no avail. Yeah, I think, well, we've talked about it. And I'm tired. Let's call it a game. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time. That is a tournament win for Lolgek on House Vernius. Woo!